Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Colleen Meyer. Welcome to a brand new take with Michelle Pettis and friends. Michelle is a speaker, a food story finder, and an author of a soon to be released book called Leaving Large. Michelle was a food addict and she gained and lost 700 pounds in 40 years. She has found the secret to keeping the weight off through identifying her food stories. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Mm, thank you, Colleen. Colleen Meyer, extraordinary producer, extraordinary moderator. Appreciate the introduction, and thank you, Gina, for being on with me tonight. I look, forward to hearing from you and hearing about your recipes this week. So Gina is a certified nutritionist that helps us helps us along the healthy eating path, because in as much as I say and I talk about, it's not about the food, it's about the story behind the food. It's the
Mhm.
food story. What we eat is important.
Mhm.
It's a critical piece of it. How we move is also important, but the reality is, before we can move in the right direction, before we can eat the right things, we got to get our mind right. We got to get our mind right. And as that's what my grandfather used to say, you got to get your mind right. So we have to wrap our mind around why it is what we eat. Why we eat what we eat. And as Colleen said earlier, my story, if you haven't heard it before, is that over the course of my lifetime, I have gained and lost over 700 pounds. And that's the issue with so many people, is this yo-yo dieting thing. It's like you struggle and you get on the path and you get on a diet, you find something you like and you lose the weight, and then you get off the diet and it comes right back. And it comes right back because if you were size 22, 26, I was both of those, and every couple things in between for a long time, and you struggle, you use self-discipline, you use willpower, you use self-control, and you get down to a 14. 14 I call a black woman's 10. You get down to a 14, and the next thing you know, less than a year, you've gained that weight back and then some. And the reason that happens, the fundamental reason that it happens, is that we don't fundamentally change what we feel and believe about food, which is what I did for so many years. And we have to get to a place where we understand and we are clear that food is for nutrition and nourishment, right? If you're a praying person and you pray, thank you, God, for this food. Bless it. May it nourish and strengthen our bodies. How many times have we said that? How many times have we heard that? May it nourish and strengthen our bodies. I said it, and I would say it, and then I would go get a plate of nachos, a big platter of nachos with sour cream, guacamole, and I don't know, 3 margaritas, and then a taco. I mean, there, there ain't nothing nourishing and strengthening about that, right? So there's something that we know inside. There's something that we know inside of us that we need to eat in a nutritious manner. We know it, but we can't always get there because there are these outside forces, right? These outside forces that we don't always recognize. And so what we do every Sunday, since it's 7 o'clock, it's time for a brand new take. We unpack. We unpack these forces that sometimes have us eating for the wrong reasons, eating for reasons other than nutrition and nourishment, eating because of peer pressure, right? Eating because of joy. Eating this week, I thought about because of an unexpressed emotion, or to express emotion, or to suppress emotion. So either way, either way is for some reason other than what food is really for, which is to satisfy hunger. I mean, that's it. That's the purpose of food, to satisfy hunger. So we unpack. When do these emotional things come into play, right? When are those things driving how we manage food and what we do with it? What's the story behind that? So the food story is the experiences, the events, and the memories that determine how we interact, how we feel, how we move, how we consume a certain food whenever we see it. So that's your food story. That's the story behind the food. So every week we unpack a different situation, and as we are coming into the Halloween season, and Halloween is a season, I guess, right? The Thanksgiving season, Christmas season, New Year's, the holidays in general. There's more. There's more of that going around, and if we really want to change our bodies, right? If we really want to change how we manage food, and we want to live stronger and healthier lives, this is the time to do it. This is the time to attack it. This is the time to jump on it right now. So we're gonna jump right into the conversation tonight. I know Gina's got a lot of juicy weigh-ins for us, and she's got a recipe to talk to us about tonight. And Colleen, if you
Okay.
can read the dilemma.
Okay, here's this week's Monday dilemma. So you've been on a new diet track for a month. You are so excited because you've lost 8 pounds. Still got a ways to go, but it's progress. You just told your besties you got a big promotion and they want to take you out for a big brunch with endless mimosas to celebrate you. What is your response?
Ooh. So um that's a real situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a real situation, that something good happens, and people want to go out and celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Gina, I've been talking for the past 15 minutes. I mean, I want you to weigh in. I want you, you take it. My mouth
No,
is
I mean, this is this is something I think it comes up all the time for people,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, I think you really have to ask yourself how badly you want this goal that you've set for yourself, and being transparent and open with friends. So these are close friends. If you're able to just voice to them, hey, this is what else is going on in my life, and I want to celebrate that too. So going in there with that intention, or even just expressing that to your friends before you even go. I'm not
Mhm.
doing the endless mimosa thing. The brunch is great. There's several options you can find there to stay on track. But I think that's where the endless mimosa thing, you have to kind of come to grips with that and make a decision. It's like the dessert. You know what I'm saying? So it is. I mean, in a sense, because I mean, it's you're drinking sugar,
Mhm.
kind of, sort
Mhm.
of, basically. So, I mean, that at that point, I would say for that dilemma, you lost 8 pounds. How important is that to you? Do you want to derail yourself, right? Because you're going to open your taste buds up again and set some parameters. Go in there with intention and have a discussion before.
Mhm.
So nobody's surprised, nobody's upset. Why isn't she drinking all these mimosas? You voiced it, and maybe it's just the plan needs to be altered a little bit. But I think if you can voice that to somebody and share that with them, and they can respect it, and then you make your plan from there.
Yeah. I that is such a good solution if you're going to go ahead and do the brunch, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I found in a lot of this conversation is about my journey, and what
Yeah.
I figured out, right? Because I just feel like everybody's like me, you know, is that I stopped going, right? I stopped going and to brunch, but even for the celebration, you know, why does it have to be brunch? Right? Can't we celebrate and do something else? Celebrate in some other fashion. Get Have some other activity,
Hmm.
that that doesn't revolve itself around brunch and eating. And I think over the years, going out to eat has just become such
It's a
a
thing.
simple a
Yeah.
simple thing to do,
Yeah.
an easy thing to do. Yeah, and you don't have to cook, right? You have to go to the grocery store. Okay, so all that's wrapped in one. And especially if you go to some place where they make you feel really special and pampered, then it becomes about the experience around the
Hmm.
food, not necessarily around the eating. So other things are involved. But
Yeah.
I will say that there's so much other stuff that we can do. was walking this morning. I was walking this morning out, and I walked by the tennis courts. I walked by the tennis courts in my complex, and I thought to myself, I love playing tennis, and you know that, Gina, because that's how we met, right? I love
Mhm.
playing tennis. I love playing on Saturday. I play it on Sunday, and now since I do, even though I haven't played in a little while, I have like that has become my Sunday and weekend ritual, my crew. Whereas years ago, it was all right, where am I going to go to brunch? I mean, so the activity, shifted. I was a brunch queen, right? A brunchaholic. I mean, it's just, I knew all the places where you could get the most food and the best
Right.
mimosas, right? Which ones had the, the free frills on, free refills on on the mimosa, and which ones were the longest, so you could stay there the longest, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, I get that, and I think that that is another way to go with this for sure, because I feel like there are some people that go into these situations and they're trying to reach a goal, and it's just it's almost just the willpower and the ability to just say no or to pick the healthier choice is too challenging. But I will say to you, I challenge a lot of my clients to go ahead and go to these types
mhm,
of events, and the reason why I do that is because I want them to learn how to do create a lifestyle of this, because these things never go away.
mhm,
And so it is a good way. I agree with you. The way that you trained yourself was a way to pull yourself out. Now you can go back into these situations level-headed, and making choices that suit your goals and what you where you want to be with your
mhm,
overall health. But I
mhm,
would say for some people too, it's a good lesson to kind of learn, because you need to put yourself in that situation to understand, okay, these are the things that I can have. I can still go to these events. I don't have to
mhm,
feel completely deprived, and I can still reach my goal. And learning how to do it, because I feel like when people sometimes when they don't do any of this and they don't engage in themselves and they turn around maybe a year or 2 years later, they haven't learned how to handle themselves in that situation. So I
mhm,
say I think both ways work, because I've done this. I've done both. I've done
mhm.
skip the event, and sometimes I've gone to the event. It just, you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah,
you have to be honest and realistic where you are in life at that
right.
point in
Right,
time.
right. I mean, it's a process.
Yeah,
It's a process for sure, and you figure out, what works
exactly.
sometimes, what works one week or one day or one month, depending on where you
Yeah.
are, might work, and later on it might not work, right? But
Uh,
I will say that the one of the things that I did, especially when I was trying to deal with the alcohol situation, right? Because
Mhm.
that was a big part of
Challenge.
it. It was a,
Yeah.
it was a big challenge, because we're going out to happy hour. Yeah, I was going to have happy hour 2 or 3 times a week, right? Two or three times a week, 2 or 3 drinks a night, right? And then that in that weekend mimosa thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I finally realized for myself, and maybe I've told this story before, is that it wasn't so much the alcohol that was a draw for me. It was like the experience of drinking, which is
mhm.
it's like different, right? Like I when I first started drinking, like young, I guess I was young, so the sweet drinks were appealing. So I'm a sugar addict anyway, and then you get the drinks like the tequila sunrise, and they're all pretty, and they've got the little umbrella, so that's appealing. That's appealing to your eyes. So you get, oh, I want the one with the umbrella. I want the one, I want the one with the fan blowing. Or you're drawn to that. And then when the martinis came out, and they were different flavors and different colors, and they had the really beautiful glasses. It's all of that that kind of takes over our mind. So wasn't for me like the alcohol, but it was like the sweetness of it, and then the fancy glasses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, but what I started doing once I got serious about it, I remember I went to a bar, and I said, I'll have a virgin martini. And the bartender was like,
Right.
right, right, what? Because a martini is all alcohol. What are you gonna
How do
do?
you make that?
How do you make that? And I said, here's what you do. You get one of those little silver shakers, you get some club soda, you get some pineapple juice, you get a little bit of cranberry juice, you put it in that little shaking thing, that little shaker thing. You shake it up right here in front of me, and then you pour it in a martini glass and give it to me. That's how you do a virgin martini. And so what I started doing was, instead of having, 3 or 4 regular martinis when I would go out, I first started having one virgin martini, then I would still drink my regular ones. Then I started having 2 virgin martinis, and until all the way until I got to the point where I wasn't drinking any of the martinis at all. All I was drinking was the virgin martinis, and then I started drinking less of those, right? And then
Mhm.
then after a while, it didn't even matter if it was in the fancy glass, and I'll just give me a glass, it's fine, you know.
Right.
But you train yourself, like you at least I did. But it becomes a matter of what you get used to. And
Mhm.
the other thing for me about this whole deal is that as the joy I have found in getting a body that serves me and being able to wear what I want to wear and feel better and look better and show up better, I live in that every day, right? And when you get to the point where you can imagine what that feels like and take that feeling and kind of like wrap yourself in it,
Mhm.
then the choice doesn't become then the choice isn't about the food. The choice isn't about feeling deprived, because you know that the results that you're feeling that you want to experience are more important than this thing that's sitting in front of you. And
Right.
that's the work, is that, I was at a party last night, not a party, but I was with friends last night, and somebody said, "Oh, I hate exercising. I hate exercising." And I thought to myself, I love the result. I love the results that happen when I exercise, when I move,
Mhm.
when I eat right, more than I hate exercising.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all that reprogramming your mind. The same thing for me. It's like I always remind myself I love the feeling how I feel when I'm done
Right.
with the whole workout. And
Mm-hmm.
I like to see the sweat drip. I'm a little crazy, but that that's for me a motivating piece. But I mean, it's the same thing, like going back to those 8 pounds. Like
Mm-hmm.
that person, like when your food story with the whole, I just lost 8 pounds, and then am I going to go to this brunch and really ruining it? But using that piece too to kind of get you through making this decision, I think is a critical thing too. Like
Mm-hmm.
deciding, like, do I love how this 8 pounds feel? Am I gonna be okay tomorrow up 2 pounds, feeling a little bloated and swollen?
Right.
Mhm.
So I think it's the same kind of, you gotta get your mind has to be there and enveloping yourself in that thought pattern. I think it relates exactly to this person that, well, if it was
Yeah.
you or
Yeah. Well,
or
yeah.
whoever, I
Well,
mean,
I am every woman.
right. And then, I mean, we've all have food stories like this. I had to stop myself too. I had the nerve. This was a long time ago, but I'm going to happy hour. Same thing. I had the nerve to ask myself, "Well, I'm working out. Why aren't I losing any weight?" Happy hour 2-3 times a week is the problem.
Right.
So, it's that conversation, being honest. And I think too, the other thing, just to throw in here, I think as the dilemma is, are you comfortable enough to have that conversation with your friends? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's also on the flip side of friends being judgmental. Sometimes they don't necessarily mean to be, but it could be, oh, just one. You know what I mean? Sometimes that can be like telling an
Mm-hmm.
alcoholic, like, oh, just one drink, you'll be, you know what I mean? Not necessarily. You might just open the floodgate for that person. So being that group of friends, being able to trust them and being, you know what I mean, in that environment where you feel safe enough to
Mm-hmm.
divulge what you're doing, and and not have it disrespected, so to speak, and be able to enjoy a good time with these people. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a factor too
Yes.
in
Yeah.
all of this
I
to
mean, that
consider.
that that I think that friend and peer pressure thing is
Hmm.
so
Real.
strong,
Yeah.
right? So you put the friend peer pressure thing on top of the habit,
Yeah.
right? on top of the habit. And you really have to be conscious. You have and I do this. I talk about this. I live it all the time. But I still have to be conscious. And sometimes I can feel myself. I can feel like the old thing trying to
Yeah,
trying to
come
trying
back.
to trying to sneak up. And it's so smooth, right? It's so smooth. It's not like an in your face kind of thing, but it's just like,
Oh, have a
yeah.
bite.
Yeah.
You can have a bite, just one bite. No,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah, you can have a bite, and that is just so tricky.
yeah.
It's tricky until you get to the other till you get to the other side of it. And I
Mhm,
and I will tell you one of the things that has happened for me as I have started like pairing up how I deal with certain food and with memories. Like one of the things I write about in the book was how my mother, who I didn't live with and I always wanted to, right? But when I would see her, uh, we took like a little special trip to the donut shop,
mhm,
and I was already a sugar addict. I mean, these was like the best donuts in my hometown of Marshall, Texas, and we went, and it was just me and my mom, and we were eating the donuts in the car, right? And then she left and went away, and then I found myself always going back to that donut shop and getting those donuts. And I kind of explore in the story um, what was happening with that, right?
mhm,
And for a long, I mean, early years, I mean, I could eat a dozen donuts, just like they were sweet and light and all that, right?
right,
And eat 12 of them and never think another thing about it.
mhm,
But now I'm at a place where I don't even want another donut. I and I still have this memory that I feel really close to my mother, and it's the sweet, and I'm not eating like that. But here's what I know is that any donut that I have right now from this point forward will never be as good as the one I had with her. And part of that, oh, when you decide you were ready to make the changes, okay, Donna, I'll get to your question in just a second. That donut, there's no donut that I will ever have that will ever be as good as the one that I had with her. And all that time, I was eating those donuts, trying to recapture
capture.
that,
Mhm,
recapture that. And as soon as that was like clear to me, I was like, bam, bam, bam. So that's kind I think that's part of what happens, like when we're out with our friends, we're trying to hold on to the festivities. We're trying to hold on to the fun. We're trying to keep all that close because it's all one thing. Oh, and I see a question a question that has come up. Thank you, Donna. When did you decide that you were ready to make the change? Ooh, that is such
mhm,
a good question. That is such a good question. And being ready is key. Being ready is key. And part of being ready is having a belief that what's waiting on the other side, and Gina, you can help me with this, what's waiting on the other side is better than where you are.
mhm,
When you make that decision that no matter what, you know that what's on the other side is better. But I decided, I had been struggling. I struggled, like I said, for 40 years. And I had I had a meltdown. I write about this in the book. I had a meltdown at a conference where I ate 5 pieces of pizza in about 10 minutes. And at that point, I had had surgery. I had been playing tennis. I was walking, and I thought I could maintain it. But something happened at that conference, and that pizza that just like sent me in a different direction. And I left that conference and I went to the doctor, and I said, I need some help. I need help. And as I said that, I also prayed. I also prayed because I knew that this time had to be different. And so what I opened myself up to was to accept and listen for ways to be different. Because I had been on doctors programs before,
Mhm.
I had been on many programs. I had been in clinical trials. So what I realized that it I could get on whatever program she had and lose the weight. That
Yep.
wasn't the issue. The issue was to find was to get some
Maintain it.
peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, was to maintain it and find out why I couldn't maintain it, why I was stuck on this yo-yo. That that's the issue. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and read your question. Read your question in a second. So that's when I start listening to the answers. When I start listening to the answers and
Mhm.
being receptive to the fact that this time had to be different.
It's a
This time,
behavior change 100%, and I
yeah.
think I mean, that's a part of it. I mean, it does not happen overnight, and a lot of us, as much as we would love for this to happen overnight, and what I always tell people is it's a process, and when you accept that and don't try to just, jump in and say, I want to lose 15 pounds, you know what I mean? And then you don't have a plan. How are you going to what changes are you going to make in your lifestyle? So I think that's exactly
Yeah.
what you're speaking to, is
Yeah.
that was your pivot when you
Yeah.
decided. I will share something brief with myself. Like, yes, my weight loss, my big weight loss was when I was younger. I lost over 50 pounds myself. But what I will say is that I played around several times
Mm-hmm.
until I realized, like, oh, I have to commit to this lifestyle. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna continue to be on a diet every daggone year. And for me, that was my breaking point when I was just like, I'm tired. I'm
Yeah.
done. I do not want to be on a diet anymore.
Right.
I had started dieting since when I was very young, at the age of 12. So I think I got to the point in my life, maybe, where for me, that was it. And I think for you, when you're stating, yeah. And I think a lot of us have to get to that moment. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to hear that, but I think that's when you make the pivot and make the change, and it's lasting. And you
Well,
have, yeah.
you know what? I think that I thought I before I go, but let me answer Don this
Yeah, go
question,
ahead.
and
Yeah.
then I'll go back to that. So she has a question about making time for exercise,
Uh-huh.
and she shared to focus on one thing, and when I see results, I'll transition into adding more like exercise. What I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff out here. You need to exercise, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to drink what you need to do
It's a lot.
all of it
Mhm.
all of it works, right?
Yeah.
All of it works, but the thing is not to overwhelm yourself. Pick one thing. Pick one pick one thing, master that one thing, go to the next thing, and
Yeah.
that one thing will, and the success you have with that one thing will help fuel you to do the next thing.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
that is because it's so overwhelming. Okay, I need to watch sugar, I need to watch fat, I need to watch carbs, I need to look at macros, I need to drink water, I need to sleep, I need to do exercises. Do I want to walk? Do I want to run? Do I want to do water
Mhm.
aerobics? Do I want to do yoga? Do I want to do belly dancing?
It's a
Oh,
lot.
right.
You
Then
have to break it down. I think that's a great point to bring up, because if you don't, and I think when people look at you, or maybe they ask me too, like, well, how do you do all this stuff? It's a process. I did not integrate all of this stuff
yep,
immediately. It
yep,
was piece by piece that got to where this is just how I live, you
yep,
know.
yep.
So I think the same for you. Would you say that it was?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was the one exercise. All right.
Mhm.
So I want to go back to like a little exercise story. I know we were running, and I wanted to exercise, right? For
Yeah.
back in the 90s and whatnot, they were doing all the step aerobics and the
Mhm.
jazzercise and the stuff. I wanted to do that because it looked like so much fun, but I'm like I'm uncoordinated and rhythmless. And I would sign up for those classes and I waste all sorts of money because I would go and I wouldn't have any fun because everybody knew the steps for me. They were going to the left, I was going to the right, they were going up, I was going back, I was off beat, and my body wasn't hot, right? So I mean, I didn't even like that, right? So
Mhm.
I didn't do that, but I kind of thought that was the only thing. And then I found tennis, and life got better. But the thing I would say is, you don't have to work out. You don't have to get a gym membership. You don't have to do,
Mhm.
just walk, just walk, just walk, just walk, just walk. And if you don't like it, there are a couple things that you can do. Walking can become meditation, right? Walking can become your prayer. Walking can become your church.
Mhm.
Just like you put
Do a
headphones on
prayer walk. Yeah.
right, and do it, and yeah, so
Mhm.
you're I got
Mhm.
on the phone and I would talk to friends that I hadn't talked to in a very long time. I walked for an hour and now I've connected with four people and it doesn't feel like walking, but because I'm just talking on the phone.
Mhm.
Now I have connected walking to something that I really enjoy, which is talking on the phone with my friends. So
Mhm.
that, I mean, that is like an easy thing to do. So
Mhm.
okay, don't make time for walking, make time for your friends, make time for your family. Just put on some sneakers, and sometimes I don't even walk with sneakers. I just walk. You just move,
Mhm.
and then your body starts to like it, and then you start doing some other things. You don't have to walk for an hour. Maybe
Mhm.
walk for 30 minutes in the morning, walk for 30 minutes in the afternoon.
Mhm.
Those are easy
Just
things
start
to
something somewhere, even
start.
if you did it for 10 minutes and
Tim,
then said,
exactly,
next week I'm going to do 15, and you
exactly.
build from there. It becomes, you have to create the habit. And
You
then when you
create
see
the
the
habit.
results and you feel it, it's just even like we said before, it's just even more motivating. And
You
it's
want
like,
to add, you want to add to it,
yeah,
and in even now where I work, we have a parking lot that is right next to the building,
right.
right? I parked 3 streets over. I just parked 3 streets over just to get a little extra get a little extra movement in it. I
Mhm.
mean, there are things that we can do like that to
Mhm.
help us get used to moving. But this thing about exercise, what I want to say is, don't think about it. Think about the results.
Mhm.
Think about what it, and that is probably I would say the skill that we need to develop is think about the result and live in the result that you want. And if this will get me there, if this will get me there, then this is the thing that I do.
Mhm.
This is the thing that I will do. Um,
And
so
take your measurements. Don't always rely on the scale.
yep.
That the scale can be like, it can be, it can definitely mess with your mind. So you don't know. I mean, whatever happened the night before, and remember too, your muscles expand after you exercise. So I always tell people, also, we've talked about this before, non-scale wins, and
Hmm.
but measuring is a big thing too, to drive your motivation, because you're going to see your
Absolutely.
clothes getting looser, right? But why not track it on that end? I mean, that's something
Absolutely.
else. So I think sometimes people they like, oh, I've been walking for 5 days, and then they get on the scale and they're like, forget it, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm still weigh the same. You
Mhm.
can't. So, just another piece to just remind yourself, and coming
Right.
out, remind yourself of that goal and the result. It's coming.
Hey, Michelle.
Lisa just put in a, I know we're running along, Lisa, but I want to say this. Lisa put in a great comment, and
That's what
she
I was
talked
going to say
about
too.
dancing,
Mhm.
dancing, right?
Mhm.
Dance, dance around the house,
Oh yeah.
go out dancing. I mean, that's exercise, but it's not like work, right?
Right.
Um, so if whatever age you are, pull out some music from the 60s, pull out some music from the 50s, the 70s, 80s, and just dance. All right, get a YouTube video. There are tons of them, right?
Mhm.
Find some line dancing YouTube videos, and do that by yourself, right? Because I'm not going to do that, because I'm people are going to the left, I'm going to the right.
Hey, Michelle. I think we should have Gina talk about her amazing vegetable stew recipe we posted in your page
Yes,
this week.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess that one, I actually came up with that one because I had a whole bunch of vegetables in my refrigerator I had to get rid of. So I think it's great too for right now. Just, there's a lot of root vegetables, fall season. Make use of all those vegetables. The recipe is, I mean, that's the whole idea behind it. I mean, I literally, you can open your refrigerator and just take out anything that's about to spoil. That's a great way to just save it. But the vegetable soup, I mean, you can't lose with that. I always tell people too, it's a great way to get veggies in if you're not a big, you know what I mean, person that likes to eat them on the side, it's a good
Mhm.
way to get your greens in. And then also it's got every color of the rainbow. And when you represent each color of the rainbow, you're representing a different nutrient
Mm.
to your
Oh
body.
wow,
You're
yeah.
introducing something new. So it's good to have that. And it's also the good time of the year. Another reason to have something like that, it's packed with antioxidants, the vegetables. So
So
nice side dish, or it could be a meal, or you could add your protein to it. So it's versatile.
you know what I do, Gina?
Yeah.
Is like for soups like that, because I like creamy soups,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Mhm.
just put them in the blender and puree it.
You,
And then sometimes I might put like a chicken breast or
mm-hmm.
shrimp or crab or what some seafood in there too.
Yeah.
Give it some creaminess, add a little almond milk, and now I have vegetable soup, but I have a creamy soup without it being creamy because the vegetables
Dairy free.
give
Yeah.
it that smooth consistency. And I trick myself. Um,
Well, another little hack you could do is to add, like, to make this a full meal. If you're going to add the protein, you've got your vegetables, but if you added a healthy fat, which would be cashews,
mm-hmm,
and you cook like a half a cup in that pot, and
mm-hmm.
then when you blend it, it really lends to giving it extra creaminess. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
another way. And then you've added your healthy fat, and now this is a complete meal
Ooh, ooh,
too.
ooh. Yeah,
So
you said you said cashew. You just said my name.
but yeah, I love that one because it really makes you can make a lot of things creamy using
Mhm,
that, and especially for if you're dairy free, which a lot of people in this day and age we are.
mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm. Love that, love that, love that, love that. Well, we are a little over our time tonight, but the conversation has been great.
Very
It's been
good.
great. Yes, thank you so much, Gina. Thank
thank
you,
you.
Lisa and Donna, for your questions, for chiming in.
Mhm.
Before we sign off, Gina, I want people to be able to get in touch with you and get some more recipes, get some nutrition counseling if they need it. If you'll give us your information.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram, Gina Trim, at Gina Trim Nutrition. And then I will say too, I actually I've just done a new program with a friend of mine who's a nutritionist as well. It's called Detoxify My Life. So if you are looking for a way to introduce yourself to 4 weeks of plant-based nutrition and get some meal plans and some ways to integrate it all into your life, check out the website therawgirl.com. And so you can check out that plan on there too, and you can find me there as well.
Okay, great, great,
Yeah,
great, great, great. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your input tonight.
thank you.
And
Mhm.
I am Michelle Pettis. My new book's coming out, Leaving Large: The Stories of a Food Addict. You can download your free chapter right now at leavinglarge.com. You download your free chapter, you'll be on the mailing list. Let you know when you can start pre-ordering the hardback. That's coming in just a couple of days. Yeah, I'm so super excited. I can't even tell you how excited I am about that. If you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me at iambrandnewnow@gmail.com. iambrandnewnow@gmail.com. Please follow me. Please follow
Mhm.
me on Instagram. I am brand new now on Instagram. And then if you're watching in the Facebook group, hey y'all. If you're watching on YouTube, that's also I am brand new now. I am
Mhm.
brand new now too. So until next Sunday, thank you, Gina. Thank you, Dr. Colleen. Remember, it's not about the food. It's about the food story.